Hello, friends. I am Seth Dahl, and Sandi is here as well. We are going to have a 2.5 day intensive coming up together where both of us will lead you through grief recovery in 2.5 days. It is going to be a lot. It is going to be powerful. It has the potential to transform not just your emotional landscape, but your life. And we're going to be doing this August 29th to 31st. So it's coming up somewhat soon, but we're just going to give you some information about it, what this is, what we're going to be doing, some of the stuff we're going to go over. And yeah, we're excited to have you guys here.
Absolutely. I cannot stress enough how powerful this particular intensive is. You know, Grief Recovery Method is an evidence-based program. It has been statistically proven to support people in transforming their lives when they've been through any kind of emotional loss. But the difference between what you normally can get with the method is that when you're out there and you go out there and you want to do the method, it's usually 8 weeks or 7 weeks for you to walk through it. There are only a handful of people in the world that can offer it in a 2.5 day format. So the intensive is designed to walk you through it. Like Seth said, it's a lot, it's powerful, it's quicker. You know, sometimes we don't want to drag our healing out for a really long period of time. Sometimes we can't carve out the time. And sometimes, honestly, as I've been doing this for years and years, sometimes people just feel like if I have to wait week over week, that's going to be harder on me. You know, what Seth and I are going to create for you is an incredibly safe environment to walk through this. So, as Seth mentioned, I'm Sandi. This is Seth. Just so you all know, professionally, I am a trainer for the Grief Recovery Institute. So, I do also train people to be specialists. So, I've done this intensive many, many times. And then, you know, Seth, oh my gosh, he's helped families all over the world. He's supported pastors all over the world. He's been in ministry. He has so many gears when it comes to healing, and he's also certified in this work. So the two of us together is a very rare find. I have to say that. And that's why we're so excited to be doing this. We really feel like we've been brought together to be able to offer you the most, I think, powerful experience possible.
Yeah, I love it. Sandi, when I became certified, I did this 2.5 days with you, and it was pain from my childhood that I didn't even know was there came out and was healed in this intensive, and it forever changed my life. I was sold after that, and because of that 2.5 day intensive with you, well, for me being certified it was 3.5 days, but I just started doing grief recovery from that moment on, and I haven't stopped since, just helping people. Yeah, like you were saying, loss of any kind. And I think that's something really powerful that people need to know is like when people typically think about grief, they think only death, someone died that was close to me, or only divorce. They don't think about the over 40 different events that could cause grief. They don't think about all these things that have happened in their life that they may still be carrying around emotional baggage from years later that they never even realized was there. And because it happened over time, a lot of it became so familiar and so normal and like, oh, I can just handle this, not realizing you weren't designed to carry that much weight around, and it can come off. It can come off. And that's exactly what happened with me. Was I was like, oh my gosh, this thing. I'll just tell a fun story. I had this moment at 8 years old. It was probably a 1 minute long experience that I had with my family. And in that moment, I lost trust in my voice. I lost a sense that my voice mattered to the people closest to me, because I'd communicated things, and now the opposite of what I had communicated I needed or wanted was happening right before my eyes. So I lost trust that my voice mattered. I'd also prayed about this thing as a little kid. I prayed about it every day. It's the only thing I really prayed about as a little tiny kid was this one situation. And so I realized too, like, not only did I lose a sense that my voice mattered, I lost trust in prayer and trust in God. And it was all in this 1 minute experience, this 1 minute thing. And I saw it. I saw how that one moment had affected a lot of my life, because if you believe your voice doesn't matter to the people who are most important to you, and you become a husband or a wife or a parent, you have to raise your voice to get heard. You have to escalate your volume. You have to change your tone, because fundamentally inside you think your voice doesn't matter to the people most important to you. And that's exactly what happened to me. That's what came out, and I was like, "Oh my gosh, no wonder I was a really loud preacher at the beginning of my ministry experience. No wonder I was raised my volume. No wonder I was, in the name of passion, I was really just attempting to get people to listen to my voice, because this one moment as a child taught me my voice doesn't matter, and I'm not really sure God answers prayers. I'm not really sure God cares about what's really the most important stuff to me. And it that changed my life. I love this intensive because of I I personally love this intensive because of what it did for me.
Such a beautiful share and such a beautiful example, because it also shows you, here you are, Seth, you've pastored, you're a dad, you help families, you've done all of this stuff and all of this incredible work that's been really helpful and beautiful. But at the end of the day, even with all of those things, if we haven't dealt with what is emotionally incomplete, not spiritually incomplete, not mentally incomplete, but emotionally incomplete in our lives, it does affect every area of our life, whether we realize it or not. So that loss of trust is a huge one, as is moving, breaking up, losing a pet, going through abuse, going through neglect. Obviously, death and divorce are things that we think of, but there's multitudes of things in our life that can facilitate us carrying around depths of unresolved emotional pain, and we don't even realize that it's there. Even change, even if it's change for the better, because of what we learn about grief and grieving, we don't learn how to do it. And so we're carrying all of this stuff. And here's Seth, something that happened when he was 8 years old was now showing up in all of these areas of his life and really impacting his capacity for true identity and true joy. And so, what the intensive does is it brings us into an experience to be able to uncover what is there? What am I carrying around? And then it teaches us, how do I unload it? How do I actually get it out so that I don't have to carry it anymore? I want to share with all of you that a lot of times people are walking around with a lot of what we would call unresolved grief, unresolved emotional pain, things that we're carrying around that we don't realize are even there. And here's the way that it shows up in our life. It could show up because we're out of the moment, right? I'm in a room full of people. I don't feel connected. I might be anxious or depressed a lot, and I cannot figure out why. Maybe I'm having overreactions. Like Seth was saying, my voice is getting louder and louder, or I'm edgy or prickly, or maybe I'm just really tired. And no matter what I do, I can't seem to get my energy back. It could be unwanted health issues or unexplained health issues. That stuff shows up in our bodies. It's all interconnected. It could be that we're isolating. It also could just be, I feel stuck. Do you know how many people have come to me going, Sandi, I've tried everything and it's helped me, but not in the way that I wanted. I still feel stuck. I want to move forward, but I just can't seem to move forward. And every single time, what I find in these people's lives is that it is because they are carrying a mountain, or sometimes it's less than a mountain, of unresolved emotional pain, and they just haven't realized that it's there. And so in 2.5 days, you can literally transform the quality of your life.
Yeah, Sandy, it's interesting you brought up physical illness too. Did you know it's like 73, 74% of ER visits in the United States are stress related? The body is freaking out. People go into the ER and the doctor's testing stuff, checking their heart, checking all these things, and going, "Hey, how's your stress level?" Which stress is usually, a lot of times, I have a bunch of unresolved emotional stuff that has just piled up on me. And now I'm stressed about it and I don't know what to do. And eventually the body goes, "Hey, I'm not okay. I'm not okay." But it started with what was going on emotionally. I don't know. That statistic to me is crazy and scary, and also awesome that this kind of work could prevent totally unnecessary hospital visits, totally unnecessary medications. Like it could shift our physical health as well from doing this.
Hands down. There's a myth out there when it comes to emotional pain or unresolved emotions. And I say unresolved emotions because sometimes it's hurtful things, but sometimes it's just things that are just incomplete. But there's a myth out there that says if you just wait it out, it'll heal. And it's a dangerous myth because the truth of the matter is time in and of itself is not a healer at all. And I know I've worked with hundreds of people, and I can tell you that whether it happened 5 years ago or 30 years ago, if it hasn't been dealt with, it is still there. Your past is your present until it's healed. And a lot of times people will tell me, "Well, I don't want to open that door. I don't want to open that can of worms. I don't know what's in there. I don't want to open that up. I'm afraid." And I understand at the same time, it's affecting every single area of your life. You're dragging every day, whether you realize it or not. And that statistic about the ER is staggering because that unresolved emotion that is never meant to stay in your body, it raises your cortisol levels, like Seth was saying, and that does create a host of health issues. I've seen people's health issues resolve because they do this work. And I think another aspect of this is, we're all about fitness and health and eating the right things and working out. But do you know that one of the best ways to either maintain healthy weight or lose weight or just get physically healthier is to deal with your unresolved emotions? Because when that's in the body, it doesn't matter what you do, you're still going to have negative health effects from the unresolved grief.
Yeah. Sandy, too, another thing, because I work a lot with parents and kids. I was in children's ministry a long time. I think one of the things that's really important for us to think about, for those of us who have kids or want to have kids, is like, what are we actually passing down to them? And grief is one of those things that the way that we handle our emotional stress, our emotions, our grief, our pain, the way we handle it is usually how our kids then handle it. So whatever they see us doing when we're scared, when we're hurt, when we're lonely, when we're angry, when we moved across the country and things are not going as planned, how we handle that is teaching our children how they should handle it. And so I think this is amazing that not only does it affect us when we do this work, but it actually positions our children for an overall healthier life. It positions our kids to not carry around a bunch of stuff. And I know as a parent myself, and with the parents I work with and help in this area, like the one thing they care about more probably than anything else is having healthy kids. I want my kids mentally healthy. 1 in 5 teenagers right now already has or will have a severe mental illness. And we as parents want our kids to be the 4 out of the 5, not the 1 out of the 5. We want our kids mentally healthy. We want our kids physically healthy. We want that's our dream. That's our dream. I want my kids to grow up, have a family. I want to be a grandparent. I want them healthy. I want to be healthy. Like, it's our dream. And so this is something to think about too with this, is like, not only am I working on what I've been carrying around, but I'm preventing, by doing this work and handling emotions better, I'm preventing a whole lot of stuff down the line for my kids, for my grandkids. I'm actually shifting my family line by doing this kind of work, because what I pass down to them then becomes a healthy way to handle emotions, to deal with pain, to deal with unforeseen circumstances that come up. I'm leading them to handle that better and setting up my family line for my biggest dream, a healthy family line, mentally, physically, all of it.
So true. And often the whole idea of emotional health is kind of put by the wayside for so many people. And I think sometimes, along with what you're saying, Seth, is that some people can even confuse mental health or even spiritual health as being emotionally healthy. And they don't realize that emotional health has its own lane. And if you don't deal with your emotional health, it's going to affect you spiritually and mentally. One of the things that I find a lot of times when I speak with people is they'll say, yeah, I was hurt a lot by this person in the past, but I've already forgiven them. So there's really nothing else for me to do. And what I share with them is, I think it's great that you've forgiven them. We know even from the Bible that when somebody harms us or does something that's damaging, there's a debt, right? The scriptures talk about the unmerciful servant, right? And we know that there's a certain debt. It's almost like they're indebted to us. And so in forgiveness, we're releasing the spiritual debt. And that's what we're supposed to do. However, what is often missed is that people confuse releasing the spiritual debt with dealing with the unresolved emotional pain. And the truth is, they're very different things. I can forgive someone. I grew up in a home with a lot of abuse. I was severely abused for a majority of my childhood. And by the time I did this work, I had forgiven the people that had hurt me, that had abused me. But that did not mean that I had dealt with the emotional damage, the mountains of unresolved pain that I was still carrying as a result of what had happened to me. And so, grief recovery method, what it does is it deals with that lane. It says, okay, yes, maybe you've released the debt, but what about the hurt? What about the pain? What about the natural response of your heart to say, this devastated me, this hurt me? What do we do with that? And I will tell you, when I got these tools, kind of like you, Seth, and I walked through the pain of all of the hurt and the abuse, my entire life completely changed. And not only did my emotional health change, it also shifted my relationship with myself, with others, and with God. Because now there wasn't all of this stuff between me and God and me and everyone else. So I think it's important to realize that even if you've done other things, that's great. But I have never seen anything get to this lane right here, unresolved emotions, the way that grief recovery does.
Yeah, same here, Sandy. Like, one of the things you just mentioned was the unforgiving servant that Jesus talked about. But in that story, when he's sharing, he said, so will my heavenly Father do to each of you if you, from your heart, do not forgive. And the church has preached that loud and clear, which is amazing and absolutely necessary. Like, forgiveness is so important because we were forgiven so much, we need to give it away. That's the point of the message. But he says, from the heart, forgiven from the heart. And what I noticed in this work, Sandy, was grief recovery gives us such a practical way to forgive from the heart, because what most Christians do, and this is just 20 years of being in ministry for me, what most Christians do is they forgive from the mind. They forgive the event that took place, but they don't forgive, let go of, do something about the emotions that were caused from the event. And so they forgive and they forgive and they forgive, but the feelings, the emotions are still there, swirling around, and then they think they haven't forgiven. And so I think that's just a powerful thing that I saw in grief recovery, and now I use it all the time. Is this shows you how to actually practically, simply forgive from the heart, not just the mind, not just the event, but the emotions connected to that event. So you actually walk out free. Then where so many have walked out not fully free. And so when it comes to forgiveness, to me, this is the deepest experience of forgiveness I've ever seen, and most practical, simple, easy to access way to forgive from the heart and walk away completely different.
That's so beautiful, Seth, because the other thing about the method and about the intensive is there's also this aspect of safety that I feel like a lot of times, whether in or out of the Christian community, people don't necessarily get. They don't, there's often a pressure that, well, you have to show up this way, you have to feel this way. And so a lot of times what happens for us is then we're bypassing the reality, right, of what we're carrying in our heart under the pressure of, well, I need to appear this way. I need to appear that way. And what we get to provide in this intensive is this very safe environment for your heart to actually be known and heard. I can't tell you how many people I've seen where, myself included, I was walking around, I had no idea what was in there. I had no idea what was holding me back. So the safety of this is super powerful. And one of the other outcomes that I see for people, and this one I see quite often, is just clarity on who am I, clarity on boundaries. Sometimes people work through unresolved grief and they realize, whew, there's some people in my life that I've just been letting stomp all over me. And I need to, I can actually get clear now about how to interact with those people. I think one of the challenges when you're carrying a lot of that unresolved emotional pain is it's blurry. The lines get really blurry. And people often tell me, I know that I'm supposed to have boundaries, but I really have no clue how to walk that out. Well, it's an impossibility when you are walking around with all of this stuff inside. But when you get that out, all of a sudden things become very clear.
I I love that. I love that so much. It's that emotional energy still connected there that doesn't allow us to set boundaries, doesn't allow us to even see what a good boundary is, what a healthy boundary is. My goodness, this course is going to be really good. If
Oh
you
my
need help
gosh.
with boundaries, this is going to be so good.
Yeah. I cannot stress enough the power and the facilitation that you're going to receive with both Seth and I. I've been involved with this work for years and years, and I've walked through many different healing modalities, as I know Seth has as well, and they've all been great. I think there's a lot of good stuff out there, but nothing ever got to the root of the matter, especially emotionally speaking, like grief recovery. And I've used the tools for years. There was a time in my life I was so far from this. I was a meth addict. I was, not even close to living this way. And one of the best things I ever did was walk through this program because of the clarity it gave me, the strength it gave me, and just the emotional connection and understanding and ability to connect with others. So we just want you to know the intensive is going to be 2.5 days, and it's going to be absolutely amazing. There is a little video course that we're going to ask you to walk through before we start at the end of August. And just know that when you click on the link to register, if you do need a payment plan, there's options there. So don't let finances stop you. If this is calling you, you definitely want to jump in and do it because it's priceless work, honestly. I mean, we're giving a really great rate, especially because you have the two of us, but honestly, this is priceless because it opens you up in a way that nothing else does.
Sandy, one last thing I have this on my heart is there's a scripture in the Bible that says, "We do not grieve like those who have no hope." And I think one of the things I've noticed is there are times where we read that verse, we say that verse, and we say, "We do not grieve like those who have no hope." But what our heart hears us instruct it to do is we do not grieve. The heart has a tendency to hear our instructions. The subconscious hears instructions from us, and it has a tendency to only hear the instruction at the beginning. We do not grieve, and it misses the part, like those who have no hope. And that's that verse. I have used that verse over and over to go, do not let that scripture be interpreted to you as we don't grieve. No, we do. We live in a world that requires us to grieve right now. In heaven, there will be no more tears. There will be no more sorrow. Right now, this stuff happens, and we've got to go. Oh, I need to grieve like I have hope. I need to grieve with hope. And I think that's what I've seen this work do. That's what's so profound is we're going to show you and take you through, not just show you, we're going to take you through the whole process of how to grieve with hope, how to grieve with the expectancy of good things from God. Not we don't grieve, and not we don't grieve like we're hopeless. No. We grieve with the confident expectation of good things from God coming out of this. And that's what I've witnessed over and over for people who do this work. And it's one of my favorite things about it is the hope that we come out with, that's restored to us, that we hold on to as we grieve. My goodness, priceless, like you were saying, absolutely priceless.
My gosh. And I just have to add to that, Seth, because that is so deeply profound. I remember sitting with a client one time, and she was, she was in college. She was getting, I think it was her master's, and she had done her whole thesis on grief in the Bible. And the boilerplate that she came to, and I never forgot, it goes right along with what you're saying, is that grief is actually something that we've been given not only to navigate the fall, but it is also the thing that transforms the things that happen to us into character and purpose and identity. It's transformative. And what we really want you to get is that so often out there, what we're learning is we learn to bypass the experience. We learn to not look at it. We learn to try to put a band-aid on it, to reframe it, to pretend like it didn't happen. And we actually miss out on what grief's intent is, which is to bring us transformation so that we can live a better life instead of carrying the weight of what's happened and pretending like we're just fine. So that's what we're going to bring you into. And we are so, so excited to walk with you. If you have questions, you can reach out to us, but we are so excited to see you.
Yeah, we're going to start August 29th. It's coming up August 29th, 30th, and 31st. 2.5 full days with both Sandi and myself. It's going to be intense, and it's going to be awesome all at the same time. Come
Amazing.
and join us.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Yes, come and join.
come and
You know
join.
what? It's going to be intense and amazing, and we'll have some fun too,
Yeah,
because we just got to roll it all together.
yeah.
We'll see you there.